Japan is known for being one of the safest countries in the world, but when it comes to money, Japanese families spend shocking amounts just to feel secure. I'm talking hundreds, sometimes even over $1,000 every single month, not on shopping or travel, but on insurance. From life policies to medical, cancer, and even education insurance for kids, the average Japanese household is layered with coverage that might seem excessive to outsiders. But why? Why would families spend thousands every year on something many people in the West barely think about? Today, let's break down the hidden reasons behind Japan's insurance obsession. One of the biggest reasons Japanese families pour money into insurance is because they see it as a safe alternative to investing. In countries like the US or the UK, putting your money into stocks, mutual funds, or even real estate is seen as the standard path to building wealth. But in Japan, the cultural mindset is very different. Many Japanese people view investing in the stock market as gambling, unpredictable, risky, and something that could wipe out years of hard-earned savings overnight. This skepticism runs deep, partly because Japan has lived through painful financial crashes, like the asset bubble collapse in the early 1990s and the long, lost decades of stagnant growth. So instead of investing, families lean on insurance products. Whole life insurance, in particular, is marketed not just as protection in case of death, but as a long-term savings vehicle. You pay your premiums, and over time the policy builds cash value. The appeal is obvious, it feels safe. The money isn't disappearing into something that might crash tomorrow. It's locked away in a system that promises guaranteed payouts. Insurance agents frame it as a way to save without the risk of losing money in the market. But here's the catch. These policies are expensive. Monthly premiums can easily climb into the hundreds of dollars, and if a family stacks medical, life, and accident coverage, it adds up fast. Families see it as discipline, like a forced savings account. Instead of worrying about whether they'll have the self-control to save for retirement or their kids' education, the policy does it automatically. It's security plus savings rolled into one, even though the returns are far lower than traditional investing. For many households, this trade-off feels worth it. It keeps money safe, avoids the fear of financial volatility, and provides peace of mind that their family will be protected no matter what. What's fascinating is that in Japan, this mindset isn't fringe, it's mainstream. Millions of families willingly choose to pay more for insurance because they believe it's the safest and most reliable way to prepare for the future. If there's one thing that defines Japanese financial habits, it's the pursuit of safety. Japan is a country that prizes stability in almost every aspect of life: jobs, housing, and yes, money. This obsession with security explains why insurance is such a massive part of household budgets. Families don't just stop at one policy. They layer multiple forms of protection on top of each other. Life insurance for the breadwinner, medical insurance for hospital stays, cancer-specific coverage, accident insurance, and even insurance for natural disasters like earthquakes. The cultural logic is simple: cover every possible risk, no matter how small. Japan is a nation that has experienced frequent natural disasters, from earthquakes to tsunamis, so the idea of just in case is deeply rooted in the culture. Add to that a strong sense of responsibility to family, especially children, and you get households willing to pay steep monthly premiums to eliminate uncertainty. To outsiders, it may look like overkill, but to Japanese families, it's an investment in peace of mind. This is also reinforced by the way insurance is marketed. Agents emphasize worst-case scenarios. What if the breadwinner dies unexpectedly? What if cancer treatment bankrupts the family? What if your child can't afford college? The fear-based sales pitch resonates strongly in a culture where preparing for the future is considered a duty. Parents, especially, feel enormous pressure to ensure stability for their children, and insurance becomes the vehicle to deliver that security. The result is that some families end up spending more than 100,000 yen per month, over $700 on insurance alone. That's not counting taxes, pensions, or mandatory public health insurance contributions. It's an incredible amount, but it reflects how deeply the safety-first mindset runs in Japan. People are willing to sacrifice luxury, travel, or even personal savings to ensure that they are fully covered against life's uncertainties. What makes this obsession so fascinating is the paradox it creates. On one hand, Japan is one of the wealthiest and safest societies in the world. On the other, many households feel they can never have enough protection. The drive for security is endless, and insurance companies know exactly how to tap into that cultural instinct. It's not just about money, it's about reassurance, about knowing your family will be taken care of no matter what. One of the hidden forces behind Japan's massive spending on insurance is social and cultural pressure. Unlike in many Western countries where people shop online for policies or deal with insurance only when they buy a car or a house, in Japan, insurance is much more personal and face-to-face. Agents often sell policies through networks of friends, relatives, and coworkers. This creates a situation where saying no is not just about rejecting a product. It can feel like rejecting a relationship. Imagine being approached by your coworker or your cousin, who also happens to be an insurance agent, and they tell you about a new policy that will protect your family. In Japan's group-oriented culture, turning them down outright can be awkward or even rude. Many people end up signing contracts simply to avoid embarrassment or to maintain harmony in the relationship. Over time, families may accumulate multiple overlapping policies because of this social obligation. Sales tactics also play a huge role. Insurance agents in Japan are famous for using fear-based scenarios. They might ask, what would happen if you got cancer tomorrow? Could your family afford the treatment? Or, how will your children go to university if something happens to you? These questions hit directly at a parent's or spouse's sense of responsibility, making it hard to refuse. The goal isn't to sell just one policy, it's to build a portfolio of coverage that feels like a safety net, but often ends up draining household budgets. Another factor is the way insurance is presented not only as protection, but also as a respectable, almost virtuous choice. In Japanese society, being well-prepared and avoiding risk is seen as wise and responsible. Buying insurance, even if expensive, signals that you are a caring parent, a responsible spouse, and a good provider. The cultural weight behind this makes insurance less of a financial decision and more of a moral one. This creates a cycle. Insurance companies know that families will stretch themselves financially because cultural expectations push them in that direction. They design products that are easy to layer. Life insurance with a medical rider, plus a cancer rider, plus an accident rider, and so on. Each add-on increases the monthly premium, but families justify it by saying they're protecting their loved ones. Before they know it, a household is paying 20% or more of their monthly take-home income toward insurance policies. In short, it isn't just about money. It's about the cultural values of harmony, responsibility, and preparedness. Japanese families don't just buy insurance because they need it. They buy it because they're expected to, because it feels like the right thing to do, and because the sales system is designed to make saying no extremely difficult. Another major reason Japanese families spend so much on insurance is education. University in Japan isn't cheap, and parents feel a strong responsibility to prepare for their children's future. Instead of relying on savings accounts or investments, many families turn to a special type of insurance known as education insurance. These policies are essentially savings plans disguised as insurance, where parents pay monthly premiums and then the insurer pays out a lump sum or regular payments when the child reaches a certain age, usually around high school graduation. On the surface, this sounds like a smart way to guarantee that a child's education will be funded. Parents like the structure because it forces them to save consistently. There's no temptation to dip into the money, since it's locked inside the policy until payout. But the costs add up quickly. Education insurance premiums can easily run tens of thousands of yen per month. For a family with multiple children, this becomes a heavy financial burden. The cultural expectation makes it even heavier. In Japan, parents are often expected to cover the full cost of higher education for their children, rather than asking kids to take on student loans. This means families feel enormous pressure to save large sums in advance, and education insurance becomes the vehicle for that. Agents sell it as the responsible way to guarantee your child's future, and most parents agree, even if it means cutting back on other expenses. What's interesting is that, from a financial perspective, these policies aren't necessarily the best deal. The returns are often modest, sometimes barely keeping pace with inflation. In some cases, parents would come out ahead if they invested in low-risk index funds or even regular savings accounts. But culturally, insurance feels safer. It carries the promise that the money will be there when needed, no matter what. Education insurance also ties back into the broader theme of Japanese security culture. Parents aren't just paying for tuition, they're buying peace of mind. The idea that their child might be unable to attend university due to financial problems is unthinkable. So even if the premiums are steep, families view it as a non-negotiable expense, almost like rent or groceries. In many households, education insurance is stacked on top of life and medical policies. This creates situations where a family is juggling multiple large monthly payments, sometimes exceeding 100,000 yen in total. It's a heavy load, but most parents see it as worth it if it means their children will have opportunities in life. Ultimately, education insurance reflects one of Japan's deepest values: sacrifice for the next generation. Parents willingly stretch their budgets, not because they're reckless, but because they see it as their duty. And insurance companies know this, which is why education plans remain one of their most successful products. Japan has one of the most comprehensive public insurance systems in the world. Every citizen is covered by either employer-based health insurance or the National Health Insurance Program, which means no one is left without basic medical care. On top of that, workers also pay into the national pension system, which is designed to provide retirement income. At first glance, you'd think this setup would eliminate the need for private insurance altogether. But in reality, most Japanese families don't feel it's enough. The public health system, while excellent in many ways, doesn't cover everything. Patients still face out-of-pocket costs, typically 30% of medical bills, up to a certain cap. For a serious illness or long hospital stay, those costs can add up quickly. For example, cancer treatment, specialized surgeries, or extended hospitalization may leave families with bills far higher than they're comfortable paying. This gap between what the government covers and what families could owe is where private medical insurance comes in. Then there's the pension system. While technically every worker contributes to it, many Japanese people worry that the benefits won't be enough to live on, especially with Japan's rapidly aging population and shrinking workforce. Stories about pension shortfalls or uncertain future payouts fuel anxiety. As a result, families look for additional ways to guarantee financial security in old age, and private life or annuity insurance becomes a popular solution. Insurance companies take advantage of these fears. They market their products as the missing piece of the puzzle, the safety net that fills the gaps left by public systems. Cancer insurance, accident riders, and supplemental retirement plans are all pitched as essential, not optional. For parents, education insurance plays the same role, since the government doesn't provide much direct support for university tuition. The irony is that while Japan has one of the strongest public safety nets in the world, families still end up spending thousands more on private coverage. The mindset is deeply cultural. People want to be overprepared, not just covered at the minimum level. They'd rather sacrifice luxuries today than risk being underinsured tomorrow. This is why so many households carry multiple policies. Even though public insurance exists, the fear of what if drives families to layer private coverage on top of it. In the end, Japanese families aren't buying insurance because they distrust the system entirely. They're buying it because they feel the system alone just isn't enough to protect their future. So when you hear that Japanese families spend thousands every year on insurance, it's not because they love wasting money. It's because insurance in Japan isn't just about protection, it's about culture, duty, and peace of mind. From using it as a safe alternative to investing, to stacking policies for health, life, and education, Japanese households see insurance as the ultimate safety net. Even with one of the best public systems in the world, people still want that extra layer of security. It might look excessive from the outside, but inside Japan, it makes perfect sense. In a country where stability is valued above all else, paying high premiums isn't just financial planning, it's a way of life.